Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is brainstorm. Let's take a look at some of the definitions for this verb. The first way you might hear the verb brainstorm used is to mean to produce new ideas by holding a spontaneous group discussion. So here, the word spontaneous might be new for you, but the idea is that it sort of just happens without planning, right? So there isn't a formal message with we are going to meet to talk about X, but just in the moment. Gosh, we need to figure something out, right? We need a new idea for something. A second way you might hear the verb brainstorm used is to mean to try and solve a problem by having a discussion that includes all members of a particular group. Now, connected to these dictionary definitions that I'm sharing, I also want to note that the word brainstorm gets used in the writing process quite a bit. And I would say that really connects to kind of the first idea, producing new ideas. So when you are asked to write an essay, write a paper, really do any type of writing, it can be helpful to take a few minutes and write down some ideas. Do you feel like something is good? Why? What reasons make it good? Or if you feel like someone's statement or opinion is wrong, again, why? What reasons quickly come to mind? Okay? You should know that brainstorm is a regular verb. So if we want to make the progressive tense, all we're going to do is add ing to form brainstorming. The past tense and participle forms of this verb are made by adding ed. The verb brainstorm ends in this voiced M sound. So our ed is going to make a D sound. Brainstormed, brainstormed. Okay? You might be happy to know that I don't have any additional uses for this particular verb as it combines with prepositions to form phrasal verbs. So we're going to move on and practice using our verb of the day in a couple different tenses. Today, we'll practice the past perfect, the present progressive, and the simple future using be going to. Let's start with the past perfect. We are generally using this tense to talk about an action that happened before something else, before another action in the past. To make the past perfect, we're going to use the past form of have, which is had, and then we'll use the participle form of the verb. Okay. Let's take a look at an affirmative example. We had brainstormed some elaborate ideas, but we went with something simple. Okay, so again, this idea of generating new ideas, and maybe these ideas were complex. All of that occurred before they made a decision to do something rather simple. Okay. If I want to make a negative sentence in the past perfect, I'm going to insert not after had. So we'll have had not, and then the participle form of the verb. You might hear native speakers use the contraction form, hadn't, and that's what I've included in my example. It's obvious she hadn't brainstormed on the issue for very long. Finally, if I want to make a yes or no question using make a yes or no question in the past perfect, I'm going to start with had, then I'll have my subject, then the participle form of the verb. Had they brainstormed ways for people to vote during a pandemic? Now let's take a look at the present progressive. We're using this verb tense to talk about an action that is happening right now or an action that is in progress. To make this verb tense, I'm going to use a present form of be, That could be am, is, or are, depending on what our subject is, and then that ing form of the verb. Let's take a look at an affirmative example. He's brainstorming ideas on how to expand his business. Based on our context here, it could be happening, something that's happening right now, or it could be something that's sort of in progress, that he's constantly thinking about this idea. If I want to make a negative present progressive sentence, I'm going to insert not after my be verb. You might hear native speakers make contractions with is not, make it into isn't, or are not, that could become aren't, but you will not hear a contraction with am not. Let's look at an example sentence. The restaurant isn't brainstorming ways to stay open this winter. Okay? Perhaps they've just decided, you know what, we're only going to do carry out this winter, and we'll worry about having people dine at our restaurant in the spring or summer when it's warmer and when we hopefully have a vaccine. If I want to make a sentence in the present, a yes or no question in the present progressive, I will start with my form of be, again, am, is, or are. Then I'll have my subject, then that ing form of the verb. Are leaders brainstorming ways to maintain the health of the public? Now, let's take a look at the simple future. And today we're going to practice making sentences using be, going, to, and our base verb. You may remember there's lots of different ways to express a future event. So we'll just focus on this one today. So again, we're using a present form of be, just like we did in the last verb tense. But what you're going to notice here is the verb, brainstorm, since that's our verb of the day, won't have the ing form here. So let's take a look at an affirmative example. The teacher is going to brainstorm ideas with students on a better way to learn remotely. So we know a lot of people are having challenges with virtual classes, Zoom classes, and so here in this sentence, they're going to think about what could make this better. If I want to make a negative simple future sentence using be going to, I'm going to insert not after our be verb. The same rules apply for contractions here too. They aren't going to brainstorm ways to host a socially distanced holiday celebration. Finally, if I want to make a yes or no question, I'm going to start with my be verb. So again, am, is, or are. Then I'll have my subject, then going to and the base verb. Is the organization going to brainstorm ideas on how to have a fundraiser? So I think brainstorm is an activity a lot of people have been doing for the last 7 or 8 months as we've experienced this pandemic, right? We've had to find new ways to connect with other people, to continue to work and continue to learn. And nonprofit organizations haven't been able to hold fundraising events in person for the health and safety of everyone else. So now we'll take a look at a related word, just a single word today that's connected to our verb brainstorm. And it's just the noun form of this word. So same spelling, same pronunciation. And when someone uses brainstorm as a noun, it could mean just a sudden, bright idea. Right? So not something that was thought about and examined for a long time, but something that happens really quickly. Here's an example of that usage in a sentence. I had the best brainstorm last night. So I had the best new idea, is what that person might be suggesting. A second way you might hear this noun used is to mean a group discussion for the purpose of solving a problem or coming up with new ideas. So again, connects back to some of the verbs some of the definitions of the verb we looked at earlier. So here is an example of that usage. Some really great ideas came from the brainstorms last week. Right? So this idea of great ideas came from our discussions from this particular activity. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a great day.